Yes, good afternoon and welcome to Uganda Crossroads. My name is David Lubuurwa. I want to thank you you've always been part of this program ever since it started and you continue supporting it. But tonight we start with President Museveni's visit to China, where they had to go discuss Africa-China relations in terms of business and other political issues. And also looking into what President Museveni, the statements he made by praising China and Russia versus to World Bank and the other organizations. Those are the stories that we're going to start with us with today, and we believe that those are going to be changing in the way that we think Uganda can move forward. One most important thing within this last week was that despite the fact that other actors are coming up in Uganda to make sure that Africa, Uganda, and other countries probably around neighboring Africa as a continent are trying to strategize and improve the economic status of Uganda, the president seems to be now getting away from the capitalist economy to the socialist world. Now, joining me tonight, we have Richard Myombia and Sarah back to discuss on a few things and, of course, the major stories that made headlines within this week. Guys, I want to thank you. I always want you guys to introduce yourselves, so let me also take this opportunity again to allow you guys introduce yourselves. How was the week? What new thing or things happened within this past week? Let me start with Richard.
Hello, viewers. My name is Richard Myombia. I'm happy to be here, and I welcome you to this show. We shall be discussing hot issues, so I'm here.
All right, thank you. So I cannot jump. Sarah, did you see or receive or hear anything important within this past week?
Lots of important stuff definitely come up within the week. But good evening, good afternoon, viewers on the West Coast, and it's good. It's maybe late night or early night to our friends in Africa and other parts of the world who follow us. We have so many fans who follow us on this show from different parts of the world. So, how are everyone, and welcome to Uganda Crossroads, where we discuss issues happening within Uganda, and this is where we break it down.
All right, thank you so much. Now, one most important thing is that people have always asked me, why do you only focus on Uganda? Now, this is Uganda Crossroads. We don't go to Kenya, South Africa, or any other country. We only focus on Uganda. Very soon, other shows that focus on Africa as a continent are coming up. The management communicated to us that they are in the process. They're in the pipeline. So very soon, wait for those major programs coming up. But guys, I want to start with President Museveni's visit to China. He made a statement, as reported by the Independent Uganda. He said one of the engineers told him that Uganda Railways tried in vain to get support from World Bank until one official told them that countries that build railways do so with their own money. Something that President Museveni criticizes so much. He believes that international organizations should come and step in helping these low-developed economies improve their transportation sector. Let me start with Sarah. What comes into your mind when a president says such a statement?
But these international organizations, whatever, IMF, World Bank, they've been, we have so many debts that Uganda is seated on, not yet paid. We've gotten from either World Bank, from IMF, from all these organizations. But the most absurd thing is none of the money we borrow goes to do the right thing. So for the president to say that the World Bank has to come in as if he lent money to the World Bank, that they have to, bring it back, it is, it is very careless of him, for him to mention that. And I think our president is tired. Because some of the statements he comes up with, because when you talk of World Bank, that is that's a taxpayer's money. World Bank does not get money from the sky. They do not print their own money. That is money, someone's money that you're gonna use to, to do stuff. But most cases, money they don't do anything. I was looking at the report when Kajina was invited to Parliament, and we are going to give the Chinese over 300 million or something for
300 million per day. But we're going to go there. We're going to go there. So we're going to go there. Let's first look into what happened.
So I think it is very careless of the president, especially knowing that so many donor funds have been misused by either his government or his ministers, Gavi Fund, the money was misused. Look at the money that was given to Uganda to build the Northern Bypass. It was supposed to be a 4-lane. They ended up doing only a 2-lane, side by side. So, you know, and you wonder what happened to the other money. And some people whose lands were, either houses were broken when they were, you know, when engineers were planning on where the road should pass, some of them were not compensated. So even these organizations they want to take money from really get tired. You know, you cannot start to continue. And Uganda has so many debts of which they have to pay back. They have to pay, you know, they have to pay back. But at the same time, the misuse of funds we borrow or we get from other countries is enormous.
All right, so Richard, on the same point, President Museveni said, quote, "How will the private sector grow if it is bedeviled with expensive transport costs, expensive electricity costs, or no electricity at all, expensive cost of money, etc." It is against that negativity that China's solidarity should be measured. Now, the government, according to President Museveni, he believes that China is doing a great job in making sure that Uganda's economy develops. Your take, Richard.
Yeah, first of all, viewers, first let's go back to where things begin from. How did China develop by itself? We have been talking about these issues of transformation in the country. That is number one. The IMF, when the IMF started this issue of borrowing money in Uganda, Uganda had come to a total communist state after Museveni took off power. Remember the barter trade where you used to go and get sugar. Each one had to go and get a kilogram of sugar, salt, paraffin on the LOCs in the two communist system, like it was in Tanzania, like it was into China. Until Kategaya, it was Elia Kategaya that told him that no, you cannot rule a country under this system of government where you tie down everything. Let's go to the World Bank. And the first thing the World Bank told him was conditions, because the World Bank gives you condition of which things are happening, either democracy. First of all, the first thing he said on the IMF was the return of the Asian properties, because the Asian people had lobbied so much in Britain and said that for you to give money back to Museveni to get money from the IMF was to get our property back. So the IMF comes with conditions either of democracy or things that are in the pipeline. They fear that their money doesn't only come with loans, but in China, remember China is fighting to colonize Africa and the world. That's why it has this great network of railways and transportation harbors that is constructing around the world to colonize, to compete with America as a global superpower. And he himself, Museveni, who has failed on his economic restructuring of the country, is now running for easy money, just to make sure that he comes out of the problem that he is in. Whereas it's putting us back into the same colonization that we are in before the British. So I think the people power that are coming into, because this is a very interesting topic that you have just brought today. If you see what is happening today, Museveni, knowing that his thing is falling apart, his empire is falling apart, is running to China. And he himself, Kyagulanyi, is running to America. So it's going to be in between who wins. Who wins? Which side will Uganda go?
We've seen how the Chinese, the way they play their game in terms of if they're going to give you any donations or handouts. We've seen what they've done to other countries where they've given out money. Chinese, leave alone these organizations that give you money and they give you a time duration, 20, 50 years to pay the money. It looks, when it comes to China, you have to barter trade something. You've seen, I think it was Zambia that lost an airport to China because partly the money that built the airport came from China. So if we are not careful and the way the president is getting excited and jumping to bed with the Chinese, we are bound to lose so many things because the Chinese are not giving you money and letting you pay in installments maybe for 20, 50 years, just like we've had the World Bank and IMF. They are giving you money on which it has collateral. They give you money, if they give you money to build a road, then that road belongs to them until when you pay back the money. Something like that. That's what they've done. Zambia, they took over the airport. I think they did something. You see, they took over the police as well. So it is not going to be, unless we really, really fight so hard and we take over power, We are going to have, you are going to have, and when you look at China, China is more, China wants to take us back into the colonial rule where you had the British conquer, you know, different countries in Africa. You had France conquer countries, Belgium. I think even where we are in the 21st century, China still feels they can still go back into that time and conquer Africa and have their countries which are their own colonies. But with China, I don't know how it's going to be, because you've had their... Yes, I understand teaching Madalisa the language from China is good, because many people go to China to transact business. It is very good to know the language when you go down there. But at the same time, we should look further into the way China is conducting business. What do they want to do? What are their intentions? What are they getting out of it? Are they just giving grants or loans that are supposed to be paid within 20, 50 years? Or when they give you money, there must be collateral on that money.
All right, thank you. Richard, you have been reading or studying much more about the socialist regimes and all that. And here the President Museveni said, as we gather here, therefore, we cannot forget to salute the communist parties of China, USSR, which is today Russia, Cuba, and other socialist countries that contributed to the third factor in our emancipation of Africa. Is Uganda going back to socialism, or it's just a play of what?
Okay, now let's go to China versus Uganda.
Right.
I think Museveni might think that we are not very keen on what he's doing. The socialists, the true communism of China, have been studying these things very well. How did it fall apart? Because what is happening in Uganda is exactly what the Chinese feared when Deng Xiaoping took over power in 1990-91 there, when he started the economic and political reforms in China. The system was falling apart by uprising. Remember the 89 Tiananmen Square? The Chinese had woke up exactly like Ugandans have woke up today to uproot the system and put it down. What happened? They had to make reforms, and part of the reforms that they did was the great transformation, of which Museveni cannot do now. It's too late for him. And if you see at the world calendar that Honorable Chagwan is moving in, I don't know if he's careful to watch this young man, the way he's doing things. If he's going to go to the same platform like Joe Biden, who is, I think, is going to be the next president of this country, I think Museveni must watch out that he's on the losing ticket this time. However he brings in China, because you remember Museveni has a military, how do you call it, a military agreement with China to come in and rescue him. But the whole world is watching him. This time, this time he's not going to win. Chagula, Honorable Bobby Wine.
All right, so guys, Sarah, during the discussion you mentioned about the 300 million Ugandan shillings that are supposed to be paid to the Japanese company that is meant to construct flyovers in Kampala. And you know, basically in Kampala central area to decongest the city. But the problem is that, just as she said, that when we delay, we have to pay these guys 300 million Ugandan shillings daily just for the failure of the government to implement the project. Now the question would be, why does the government get into such contracts when it has not cleared the people who are running these, maybe the owners of the land, which is going to be used to construct the roads? Sarah, I want to start with you, because you mentioned about it.
Because first of all, I've always respected, you know, there are ladies of valor in Uganda. I've always respected ladies like Ellen Kajina. But I'm so disappointed that they are not even ashamed to come to a committee and share such information. That is so childish and so it's so sad that they are sharing such information. Why are we, because this is the taxpayers' money, why are we giving 300 million to a contractor just because of delays? Delays are going to happen because you're building, first of all, Kampala is, you have over 12 million plus people in Kampala. You know, this population of Kampala is the population of the entire country, the entire Sweden. The full country has about 12 million people. That's the entire population of Kampala. Definitely delays are going to be there. So these people are looking for ways of stealing money beforehand, and then when you raise issues, they'll be like, oh, we told you money is going to be given to this contractor. And I don't know the committee that is handling this. This should not be approved. This is broad day, you know, thuggery. that is going to be happening, because delays are going to happen. You've seen what happens when it rains in Kampala. You've seen the other time in Shell Gorobi, it rained and the entire Shell Gorobi and its convenience store, the supermarket, flooded. Water basically went through the entire building. I saw people on the street who were picking some of the goodies the water had carried. What happens in Kampala? You've seen cars being submerged. So in a rain season, when all those things are happening, do you think they'll be able to do any construction? Definitely not. So in those calamities where that are natural, that we can't control, we are going to still pay 300 million to these people on a daily basis. But this is not anyone else's money. This is taxpayers' money. Ugandans are at the verge of, Ugandans survive below $1, majority of them. But still, even with the little they pay, the little they get from them, this is going to be paid. But I don't believe this money is going to any investor or any contractor. This is money that is going to be shared, because I saw they were questioning Kajina over money that was given for land. The money that was meant for compensation of land of where the flyovers are gonna go through, money was used for something else, and she could not even explain this. And for me, literally, I've been looking at Kajina. Ladies have some little bit of honesty and integrity. So if you see even the ladies you would think you would trust, women you would think you would respect, are really doing this, then the country is dead. Because, sometimes when it comes to, you'll be like, oh, men, I would respect, but ladies, you're a mother, you nurture. So I'm shocked when I see even Kajina came to the committee and was raising such issues. She was asked about the money that was meant for compensation of the people on the land. She could not even answer. So it's really absurd. But I don't think there is any compensation to any contractor that is going to happen. Mafias are looking for ways of sharing money. 300 million is a lot on a daily basis.
Richard, shouldn't we look into this issue this way, that also that by the time they put that clause in that contract, they knew that it's very common in Uganda for contracts like that to be delayed. Very soon we're going to talk about the oil scandal and the Taro leaving, the selling off its shares and other things. Other roads that have been delayed over this issue. Could that be the reason why this clause was put in the contract?
I'm a construction engineer by profession, and I have a company in Uganda. I used to do construction work, big projects. But let me tell you, all these penalties are there. If you are not a good contractor and manage your time and subcontractors to help you, you automatically face these penalties. I used to face penalties. I used to work 24 hours a day. But the thing for this Kampala issue, because the issues of Uganda are beginning from Kampala, right from the Lancaster Conference. Where does it belong to? That's why it's a contested area. Why don't they build a new Kampala? And that's what people power are going to do, because the first Kampala was old Kampala. The second Kampala is the second one you see here. The third Kampala would have been at least between Nakauka and Entebbe. The money that they are using for this overpopulated area in Kampala, they would have built totally a new city out of that. A modern city that is up to date, because Kampala is they're just patching up. That's why you have this overflowing that you have been talking about. I think what people power is going to focus on with the money that you are saying about oil is totally to build new cities in the whole country to get the population off.
I totally agree.
This area.
I totally agree. I think Kampala at this point in time, it is so damaged. Most of the buildings in Kampala were built with no proper plans. Most of the buildings in Kampala have cropped up during the night. Most of the buildings in Kampala have been built because someone in a city council. Most of the buildings that have cropped up in Kampala are not even meant to be there, but they are standing right now. So for you to start putting flyovers in Kampala, even to a place that is totally unplanned for, why don't you use that money and build up another city that is well planned for? Because if you build another city, people will still go there. Remember, I believe at one point in time, Jinja was the capital city of Uganda, right?
No, industrial
city. Yeah, but look at Jinja right now. People migrated from Jinja. Those who cannot manage Jinja are now, doing in Kampala. Entebbe was once a capital city of Uganda. See what happened in Entebbe. People migrated to Kampala. So I think it's about time to build come up with a, we have so much vacant land. Either you go on Entebbe Road, or you move, or either on Bombo Road, anywhere. Let's find land. If there are people there, if there are squatters there, you can pay them off and get good planners, and they plan for completely a new city with everything. A new city with schools, a new city with hospitals, a new city with all the amenities you need for a city to function, and people will move there. And then you'll definitely a few people will remain in Kampala, but you will decongest. And maybe if people move out of Kampala, then you have room to restructure Kampala again.
And part of the problem is the decentralization system of government, because it puts all the bread and power right into Kampala. That's it.
All right, I want to thank you on that, because that's something that we had to look into very critically, because Uganda is wasting a lot of money. President Museveni is praising China to come in Uganda and invest more money, but the problem is, much as we make these contracts, all the money almost goes back to China, and most of the work is not done, just as you mentioned, southern bypass.
Yes. It was supposed to be a four-lane.
But on that note, I want to go back to Taro. Taro is selling off its shares because of the disagreements between the government and its partners over the oil scandal that is happening in Fort Portal and all that. Who is to blame here? Because the government has the responsibility to regulate all the policies that govern these oil deals. But the problem is, the agreement that was signed actually during 2017 for Taro to pay an amount of money, which it was going to do, the government then comes up with the new bills. You have to pay this amount of money to get out of the deal. Who is to blame over this oil thing?
Let me tell you one thing. The moment oil was discovered in Western Uganda, the mafias moved in. Most of the lands on which the oil sits belongs to those in power. Top soldiers in government, those ministers you see, people, I'm telling you, if you get back down to Masindi and get to hear the stories of how people's lands were taken, minus being compensated. The moment they discovered your land has oil, people were given as much as 1 million for an acre of land. People were just evicted off their lands. People were just chased away off their lands. So you see how mafias behave. Now they see Tala's got it somewhere, and some of them own these pieces of land and they know there is oil on the land. So definitely they are going to frustrate the works of Talo. And I don't know if they are able to dig out this oil themselves, or it is going to be, again, taxpayers' money wasted. Because at the end of the day, Talo, this is not the first time Talo has taken them to court. He has taken them to court before in England and won the case. So Talo will take them to court, and maybe the government of Uganda will be forced to compensate Talo for the time wasted. If at all they have really big, if they have information in their defense that the government is really frustrating them. But and then you see, I think the mafias have gotten a plan B, or they are giving this oil. If you're not mistaken, you're going to find the Chinese are going to get in there and start digging the oil. Maybe the government is frustrating them to give the oil to the Chinese, or already the oil has been sold to the Chinese. Maybe these are the things that are going to unfold, and we'll be shocked at what is happening, because you see the way the government of Uganda is sleeping in bed with the Chinese and praising China and doing this. What is the deal? We know at some point in time Museveni, Kutesa, and his wife signed an agreement with China, of which they never disclosed to the public. We do not know what Museveni, his wife, and Kutesa signed on behalf of Ugandans, because they never let us know. So maybe they are fighting off Talo because they want to give over the oil deal to China. We are yet to find out. All right. But the mafias just know most of the property on which the oil lies belongs to those in government. And how they acquired the land was eviction. They evicted people. Some people were underpaid for their land was undervalued. So definitely, if they see Talo has gotten somewhere and they have a better deal maybe from the Chinese, they will frustrate Talo and then it will pull out.
All right, just to remind the viewers who are watching, guys, in 2017, the government and Talo and plus other partners agreed that Talo was to pay $900 billion to get off the deal. However, government of Uganda asked Talo to pay $167 million, over the deal, before the closure of the deal. Now, there's an interest in the government, business people always sell their stakes to other companies and they get out of the business. But that doesn't mean that they don't have more interest. Now, the question that still stands is why the government, up to today, is still coming up with, playing games over this deal which would have been completed in 2017 or 2018. This year, they say maybe towards the end of the year, they're going to solve the problem. But again, when you hear from the TALU executive members, they say the government is still declining. Now, Richard, I want to come back to you. $167 million, $900 million to finish up the deal. TALU gets out of the game, Total takes over. Why is the government still fighting against it?
Let me tell you, this is a topic that I've been studying because the money in oil is the money that is going to be used to reconstruct the whole country. And Museveni himself said that the selection that is coming is going to be about oil, which side is not going to give the oil to Honorable Chagwany when he takes over power. Now, I want you viewers to listen properly about the oil. As of today, in the books of Uganda, the oil does not belong to Uganda. The oil belongs to the family of Muhoozi and Museveni and his children, grandchildren. It is under a holding company. The Uganda National Oil Company signed off 100% of its shares to a holding company. I'll give you the name next Sunday. I have it right here. In the books, I have it here. It's 100% belongs. That's why Nabanda lost his life on that oil issue. The issue of this Talos thing coming in was because the people who were making commission out of this business, as Museveni is tired, because what the mistakes were done in the Talo business was Museveni himself not knowing what was being done, because the people behind who were doing it were making money. So the issue of oil is going to be a contestation, even if in settlement, it is going to go back to the right place, to the Ugandan people. And the oil money is undebatable, uncompromised. It's going to go back into the coffers of the treasury of the Federal Republic of Uganda in a new people power government. It's going to be used to rebuild the country, schools, roads, hospitals, everything. But as we stand today, it doesn't belong to Uganda. It belongs to who? To the holding company of Muhoozi as the sole owner and his sisters. That's how it is. I have it on record. You can even Google it. Who owns the oil in Uganda?
All right. So Sarah, the executive director for Talo, say that there are all options. They're considering all options to sell off the interest in Uganda. Now, I want to ask you, what interest do you think these guys, or options do you think these guys can come up with?
Definitely what is going to happen is either way, Talo is going to recover its money. They are going to take the Ugandan government to court, and they will not take it in the Ugandan courts. They've done it before in the court in UK, and then they will cover their money. The other thing I think Uganda might do, and Ugandans are not going to benefit, they are going to put shares on the market. And they are going to vigorously convince Ugandans to buy shares in Talo oil, and Ugandans are going to lose their money. The Ugandans are going to lose their money if you make a mistake and buy those shares, because you see, this it will be a very tempting, and I know they might package it in a very nice way to make Ugandans feel like, what, if you don't buy shares in Talo oil, and go down and tell them how much they're going to benefit. I've seen so many, there's a time Barclays Bank and so many have been doing these selling shares to the public. So Uganda might come up with that, sell shares to the public, and then at the end of the day, Ugandans are going to lose, because if you're buying shares to a business that is owned by a few individuals, then at the end of the day, you're about to lose, because who are you going to ask for, your shares in terms of dividends when at the end of the year, when clearly the money belongs to Museveni and his family. So they might do that, but at the end of the day, they're going to pay Talo out. They are going to pay Talo out, but for me, I still think the Chinese are going to come in the moment, and the Chinese can give them money to pay off Talo, and
They'll
cement them, because Museveni believes, I think at one point in time Museveni made a statement that the oil belongs to him.
Yes.
Yes. So he,
it is actually,
in fact, he made a statement that after, like, I think it was the previous election, 2016, and then he was, responding to Dr. Besigye that after he discovered his own oil, now they want him to go. Seriously. Because first of all, Ugandans must understand, the area where the oil sits belongs majority to the first family. The top government officials and top arm officials have bought the entire land where the oil sits. Because if you're drilling oil in my land, definitely you're going to pay me. All these guys, just like I said before, they went in when they said when oil was discovered in these areas and bought off all that land or evicted, because do you remember people were paid off money to leave the lands where the oils were discovered. But if you go back and talk to the people of Masindi, they were underpaid. Their lands were under-evaluated. And people were basically kicked off their own land and threatened because there was army, there was UPDF all put in the area. Some people lost their lives because of that land, because of the oil saga.
Let me add one more thing.
Sure.
That's why I support Honorable Kyagulanyi to be the next president and to replace Museveni. I'm giving you an example of Kenya. Kibaki, before he left power, they had done the same thing like Museveni has done in Uganda with his family. When this man came in, the one who is the Kenyatta, who is the president now, the first thing he did into office, the first day in office, was to cancel the contracts. So the purpose of putting a new president of the people into power, those are the issues that we should not allow at any time, at any minute, allow President Museveni to take this country forward after the election. We should put a new president for the people and cancel all the agreements. The second thing about the Bunyoro issue, I think it's going to come out of the blueprint that we are going to produce in these town hall meetings and these meetings that we are going to making in Boston here, that the Bunyoro people must get 20% automatically of the oil that comes from their region. They are going to be benefiting. That's where we are fighting for the federation of the country. These resources, where the area they are coming from, Sebunyolo, is going to get at least 20% right away from the treasury to their area in their government. So they are going to be supportive of Honorable Kyagulanyi because these proposals are going to come out.
Yeah, but you see, let me add on something. Some of these areas where, and it's so absurd and it's so bad that the government has really tried to rip off some of these areas where, for example, if you see Bunyoro and how the issue was handled, it wasn't handled right. You go to Karamoja. The reason why Museveni appointed his wife as the minister of Karamoja region was because Karamoja, they discovered there was the red gold. That is one of the most expensive golds in the world market, the red gold. And I know really of someone is a pastor in Uganda who really paid off money and got gold mines in Karamoja. Basically, business was booming in Karamoja. People used to fly in Karamoja all the time. What were they collecting? They were collecting gold. These small craft planes used to go to Karamoja. They were collecting. In fact, if you do your research, the most time Minister Janet Museveni spent in Karamoja, the most thing they did in the Karamoja region was to collect gold in all that region. They used to sell areas to the rich men in Kampala. They used to pay lots of money in case they discover there's gold in this particular area. They paid off so many, and that point in time, so many people were dealing in Karamoja because they were collecting gold. Now they depleted Karamoja, took out the gold they needed. She's out of Karamoja. Look at Karamoja now. The time she spent in Karamoja as minister of Karamoja region, as Karamoja developed, it hasn't. They went in for a reason. They went in to collect the gold because she was the minister, she's in charge, so whoever wanted to do business in Karamoja would go through her. And definitely they do not, they had people who wanted to mine this gold, they pay money through maybe her office. So they, you know, they got what they wanted to, from Karamoja. She came out of Karamoja. Basically, you know, when you see Museveni making statements, or, you know, I got you out of the bush, when he, basically he has, in his mind, he's beginning to behave and believe that he owns Uganda. It is partly something he bought, that either if you want our freedom, we are going to pay back, we are going to pay him money to get our freedom back.
All right, so you guys, you mentioned about Kenya during your discussion. And as we speak today, President Kenyatta gave much more freedom to all East African people, which many are stamped as the citizenship to every East African person to go and do business in Kenya. You can go and buy land in Kenya. You can go and do everything. What sign does it tell to Ugandans who are in Uganda and those who plan probably to fly or drive to Kenya to do business? Is this a good sign, or what should other countries do also within the East African region?
You know, within the East African region, Kenya has really taken itself to another level. If you may know, Kenya recently was given a waiver for the United States visa. You don't have to go to the embassy to ask for a visa. You get the American visa on arrival. And in Africa, they did that to Kenya and Malawi. I think some other, also South Africa got a waiver. But what does it tell you? For America to give you a waiver, it means something. It means you're getting, you're getting somewhere, because when you look at now, the Kenyan passport is going to be a very hot item, because if you're capable and you can show enough reason why you travel, basically it's called the e-visa. You apply it online, you apply in all these other countries, because now Kenya is being looked at, when it comes to America, it is being looked at as countries like United Kingdom, like Sweden, because all those countries have waivers. You get your apply online for help me. It's called e-something. There's a way they call it, ETS something visa. I've forgotten how they call it, but you apply for it online, and then they respond back to you, but you get a visa on arrival. So you no longer have to go through the process of the embassy, all the questions. Okay, recently, President Trump gave a waiver to Kenya. And that tells you something. Kenya has gotten somewhere. And when you look at the East African community, Kenya has some of these, the UN, headquarters, all the base. Most of this is in Kenya.
Most influential organizations.
Most influential organization, yes, as standing in Kenya. And let's also give it to President
Uhuru Kenyatta.
Kenyatta. He has done a lot.
So
he has done a lot. We've seen their relay line getting functional and starting off. We've seen them acquire, an airlines that is improving their flights. Now they go up to New York. It's a direct flight from Kenya to New York. And Kenya is booming in terms of tourism, in terms of business. There's a lot happening in Kenya compared to what is happening in Uganda. So it is, and the cost is huge in terms of business, because most of the business from business that goes to Sudan, sometimes that comes to Uganda, business that comes to Rwanda, all go through Kenya because of the port. So them being able to change governments and presidents, it has taken Uganda, it has left Uganda far behind, because every time you change a president, new ideas, because every president wants to outperform the previous one. In Uganda, what we suffer from, you will not see in a very long time. You have someone who has been in power for 33 years. He has run out of ideas, but at the same time, he still believes he owns Uganda. So you're going to, whatever he wants to come up with, you're going to suffer with that. All
right, so Richard, what does it tell you? The president of Kenya said that now people are free, all East African people are free to go to Kenya and do business. First of all, it's Kenyans will benefit out of that because they will get cheap labor. That's a fact. And two, their markets will increase. What do you think about these other East African countries? Do they have to also take the same plot, just as President Museveni has been advocating for the regional integration? So could this be the answer to the question?
You see, let us be frank. We as Africans, or we as Ugandans, if we have a European Union with a single monetary system, which is the euro, but still has its values. And people in every country can work free in another country without the value of their properties being depreciated by the euros. How did the European Union do it? What can't Africa, to get out its own problem, do the same? Because, for example, we can begin with East Africa alone, a single monetary system, where each one can invest and work in another area so that we can develop so quickly. Look at Uganda itself. Uganda, we have been advocating that we could even be the center of trade because Ugandans are very hardworking. But because of the policies of the government of Uganda that does not allow people to get rich in socialism, we are way behind. Unfair taxation, over-taxation to some peoples, tax breaks to people who are coming. People are already rich, they are coming in to invest in a country. Then you give them investment packages against the individuals that are in a country. So these things have to stop. And we have to sit down with all the East African people. I'm just advising the people power that in the next government that is going to come in, all these things have to be looked into. How do we get a single monetary system and begin with East Africa and cross boundaries where we can all invest and make more money and get ourselves out of the problem that we are in? That is my comment.
You know, I was let me even make this submission. I was looking at a documentary how Sembule lost his factory. And this is when I was growing, when we were young, this used to be, Sembule milling factory. It used to be huge. But look at the Kenyans who are hugely investing in Uganda. You have the Monitor publication that has been there for years and years, belongs to Kenya. You have, that's the National Group of Media Group something. You have Serena Hotel. You have so many. Aga Khan is Kenyan. They've managed to, they've taken over, they've done hospitals, they've done schools, and they're Kenyans. How many Ugandans are having big companies and doing stuff in Kenya? I don't know if we have names we can name right now. So that tells you something about Kenya. They've been able, in fact, for them, they understood integration better than us, that they've been able to, to move beyond Uganda. And you see how many Ugandans have been frustrated. And when you see Ugandans are trying to do things, they've been frustrated. See what happened to Crane Bank. Crane Bank was taken over out of frustration. Crane Bank, if you look into how Crane Bank was handed over to DFCU, it was a mafia move. For a guy who had put up all these structures, a bank, it could have been saved. However much they were saying it needed liquidation and all that, Uganda would have saved. We have so much money that is being stolen. All this money that is printed left and right for personal individuals, we would have saved Crane Bank in one way or another. We would, because it was, by the way, it is one of the biggest banks with branches. Crane Bank had most branches than any other bank you have in Uganda. Anywhere you would go, you would find a branch. You go to Jinja, go to Iganga, Crane Bank had a branch. He had done so well to make sure that he had spread himself thin to reach the local or to every individual, because some banks, it takes you miles to get to the next bank. People are doing farming, people want to bank in the next bank, but they don't have access to a bank. But he had done so much to see that he routes the bank to the grassroots. And the mafias come and take over the bank. And it was handed over to, because if you see the bill of sale, if you ask for any bill of sale between DFCU and from Bank of Uganda, there is nothing. The bank was just given over. I was watching a documentary on about Sembule. Government would have, and so many times, they were interviewing this guy, so many times Sembule went to the government and asked them, please save me. Sembule took a loan from the bank. If really government cared about Ugandan entrepreneurs, because if you want this integration is good when also government support their own. Because if really, Sembule used to make very nice roofing, but government wanted, government put a lot of money in roofings because, I don't know if they have shares in roofings, but because they didn't want roofings to have a competitor. But Sembule was there before roofings. And it used to do a very good job. So why don't you have, because right now you have roofings exporting to Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, all those neighboring countries. Why can't you have two companies? So they wanted to give a monopoly, because right now in Uganda, roofing has a monopoly over everything. But if they had allowed, if government had bailed out Sembule, that's all they wanted, because the bank took over the properties of Sembule and all that. But the government of Uganda would have saved, Sembule, if they really wanted. But they wanted to really make Sembule go down so that they can promote. And I believe you may find Museveni and all his family, some family have shares in roofing. But right. Sorry to say, I don't want anyone to see, or you're tribalistic or you're racist. But Sembule is a Uganda. Why frustrate a Ugandan, born, raised, and bled in Uganda? Why do you frustrate this man who has been in Uganda? This company was in Uganda even before roofing came up. Why frustrate to an extent that now Sembule, you have buildings left or you have the name? But he used to do very good products. It used to be, and then you frustrate it to an extent that they have to close. For you to be able to have an integration, you should be able to support their own, because as much as we want Ugandans to go and work in Kenya, because Ugandans will be glad of going into Kenya and working into Ugandan companies in Kenya. How many Ugandan companies we have into Kenya? And look at what Kenyans have done. Kenyans, most of Uganda, because of our curriculum, our academic curriculum, most of the Kenyans come and study from Uganda. Go to most of the companies owned by Kenyans in Uganda. They are run from the MDs, they are run by Kenyans, and half of the staff are Kenyans.
All right. So I want to go back to the viewers. We're still tackling the issue of East Africa. Kenyan president approved all East African people to become almost like citizens of Kenya. So you can go and do business, you can go and marry, you can go and share and exchange different ideas and many other things. So one major thing that I would like to pose to you, and tonight I promise that I'm going to be in a position to read your comments towards the end of the show about Kenya. What do you think about Uhuru Kenyatta's approval for all East African people to go and do business in Kenya, to go and buy land in Kenya? Technically, to be like citizens of Kenya. Is that a good stand for Uganda, and how are Ugandans going to benefit out of it? Send us your comments. Tell us more what you think about this deal, because as a business person, to me, it helps us as Ugandans to increase our markets, but also it helps the labor strategy for the East African community. So send us your comments. Tell us what you think, what you believe is all about this Uhuru Kenyatta's statement about East African people. Now, guys, I want to come back to you. Last week was so much again. We still continue with the Bank of Uganda. The reason I've always concentrated on Bank of Uganda money for almost the last 3 weekends is because every day there is a new story. The difference is, it's almost the same story. The government says, oh, we are investigating, then somebody else says, we are not investigating, then somebody says, we have arrested, then somebody else comes up, we have done nothing. So the Bank of Uganda, many officials were arrested by the Anti-Corruption Court. And what's so interesting is that all of them are out on bail. Probably they are free, or maybe they have a case to answer. But they printed the money, too much money, which according to the governor, it wasn't clear to them. But technically, there is no European country that can ever do such a mistake to destroy its name. So, guys, I want to take you back to Bank of Uganda saga. We still have millions of money. People don't know where that money came from or where it's even right now. And the most important part, the other cargo, what did it contain? Because what we know from the stories, basically from the local newspapers and media houses from Uganda, is that some of the cargo was owned by the city tycoons. I'm sure you guys followed up that story. I want to start with Richard for this time. What comes into your minds with this Bank of Uganda saga that keeps on going on and on and on without a solution?
Yeah, the Bank of Uganda saga had been going on for a long time. I think they just discovered somewhere, somehow, someone just discovered something that right now. But for us to stabilize our currency in Uganda, it's a wake-up call, because the value of a Ugandan shilling Because investment, to invest a country to grow, you have to have a stable currency in your own currency. Look at this bill they have just introduced in Parliament. I don't know if it's going to be passed. The tenancy bill and this on paying rent in dollars. It's to make sure that the people save the value of their property and investment because they've lost interest into the currency system of a country. Look at Museveni himself and Lebanon Authority. They are collecting, they're paying taxes. They're telling Ugandans to pay taxes into dollars, which is secure, of which they take out themselves. So the foreign money that is being taken out, being sent in by either us, people that are in the diaspora working, sent to the country, is a loophole that has been taking it out to their coffers somewhere in Switzerland or Dubai because they like the dollars, they're not going to take Ugandan money. That is part of the problem. But that's a wake-up call. How shall we stabilize the shilling in Uganda? If you go back, even last time we talked about it, the first thing we have to do is to cut off zeros and make lower notes. The second thing is to introduce other currencies into the system as a monetary system in the country. Dollars, acceptable. Euros, acceptable. Pounds, I don't like Chinese money. I don't like the Eastern Bloc. But I'm just advising the people that are coming to, we have to first, for Uganda to move forward and to stop all these things. There are steps that we are going to do in. First of all, to get the money out, the authority of printing money out of the president and the bank and put it into, like America, the finance system that it uses, the Congress to be controlling the money so that you don't have overprinting of the currency, over inflation, and stabilizing our own shilling so that when you have 10,000 US Uganda, because I always talk on dollars, sometimes I think I talk in dollars. We have to stabilize our shillings first for our economy to grow so that people have confidence. And all these loopholes that you see in Bank of Uganda have to be totally closed. We have to move it out of Bank of Uganda and create a system similar to the American system. I don't know about the British system. In America, you cannot just print money like that. No one has the authority to do it. So all these are wake-up calls. It's like God is telling the people power that are coming in, look at these things, because these things would have come in and then they would have continued. But now they're out. Yes, they are there.
All right. So, Sarah, I know you have something prepared already, but I want to ask you, don't you think this is just a mafia play of games? People are fighting for who is going to be the next governor of Bank of Uganda, and
it could be that. I've read reports where it is said that Kasekende is fighting with Mutevire over the top seat. But at the same point in time, some people know, this money was printed. This money was given, someone gave an order for that money to be printed. There is no way by mistake the company in Germany printed 90 million just out of the blue. So someone knew money was being printed. And on top of that, you see what is happening right now in Uganda. Yep. It is so funny and absurd that people who are being involved in the scam of printing 90 million are out on bail. Yet you have Stella Nyanzi, who is going to make almost a year in Luzira for just exercising her right and writing a poem. She has a PhD in sexology. So Stella Nyanzi, her writing a poem in that manner of language, it coincides very well with her PhD or with her line of study. She didn't do anything wrong. So Stella Nyanzi is going to make a year in Luzira. Yet people who are involved in the 90 billion scandal are out on bail. You have the likes of Bajo. He cannot. The first time when they brought him for his bail hearing, there was no interpreter. The whole Kampala, can you imagine the city of Kampala, they failed to get someone who can interpret in Uganda because I think Bajo's submission was he doesn't understand English. So they failed to get someone to read. And the second time, and he's going to be dragged in prison for a while, because I've been informed that you can say anything about Museveni's government, but when you attack his family and you attack his seat in a very vigorous way, he comes after you. So that video Bajo did really stung Museveni so badly that Bajo is going to take some good time in prison. The bail hearing is not going to come through. even next time he goes back to court. But this is also a game by the mafias. They know exactly what happened. They're just wasting this money they printed. For me, what I still predict and think is this money, this was a deal that went wrong. Someone maybe found out that he was not going to partake of this money, or someone was being kicked off the deal. That's why he had to do whistleblowing to the
the anti-corruption unit.
To the anti-corruption unit. Because I doubt if this is the first time money has been printed in excess. They've been doing it. And you see the company in Germany, don't blame it. You see when order is given that print this amount of money, you cannot blame them to say, oh, this money was printed. They were given an order, money was printed. But this time around, this money was supposed to do, this money, mafias or someone was going not to be given their share, or some mafia tipped off. And if we may ask now, where is the 90 billion? Who is holding it? Is it at police? Is it at CID? Where is this amount of money? Because you know when police is giving its statements, usually they have what you would call, they have, I'm forgetting the name. They have something to show. I'm forgetting the name.
Evidence.
Yeah, they have the evidence. Thank you. They have the evidence, but we do not know where this money is. And the most interesting thing, what was mentioned in this cargo, there was stuff there was things in the cargo that belonged to one businessman.
Yeah.
We do not know who this businessman is, and we do not know what was in the cargo. That story is kind of being kicked off, and I'm telling you.
I think so far our sources told us that one was Mandela, who owned City Oil, and who said that it was just glue in the cargo. Then the other businessman was Mbide. Those are the top, richest guys we've always known in Uganda.
So what has been done to them? Because the police should be questioning.
But the governor put the blame on the charter plane that carried the cargo, which he wasn't supposed to carry.
You cannot blame the charter plane, because the charter plane, it does not pick up. They do not just pick cargo anywhere. They do not just find me on the way. Have you ever boarded a plane you're not supposed to be on? Have you?
No.
You cannot. You cannot get on a plane you're not supposed to be on. You must have the ticket number. You must know the plane. If you're going to travel by Turkish Airlines, it has to be. You cannot end up on Kenyan Airlines unless Kenyan Airlines has gotten its people and say, you know what, we're transferring you to Kenyan Airlines, and it will be done. It will be streamlined. You cannot tell me cargo, this cargo charter plane just went somewhere, either they had a stop in France, and cargo just, all of a sudden there was cargo on the plane without no one knowing who put it there. And on top of that, because the first stories that came up were, when they were asked about what was the other stuff on the plane, they said it was spare parts for the charter plane. So a lot of things. They said at some point in time there was also stuff that belonged to the UN. UN has not come up to explain. We need to know who owned what. As much as we are focusing on the 90 million, because these charter planes are still paid by the taxpayers' money. Whenever you charter a plane, taxpayers' money pays for that trip from Germany to Uganda. Millions and millions of dollars goes into that one route coming to Uganda. So how many businessmen have been using this opportunity to bring in their own staff, of which, and I'm very sure if they come in, it came on a charter plane carrying money by Bank of Uganda, they don't pay taxes. So basically many businesses might have been, bringing in stuff within the country. They don't pay taxes and they're making free money. So who are these people? We have failed to put up a proper investigation, and I'm telling you, just like every other thing in Uganda, also that within 1-2 months it's going to die off, and life is going to continue.
All right, Richard, your final take?
Yeah, there's something there. After people power has taken over and the country is going back into its real ways of being governed, there are going to be commission of inquiries. We want to see how each person that have accumulated such a wealth out of the country made his money, how much property he has. Some of the properties and money is going to be confiscated.
There's some businessmen who have made
money. Like Mandela.
Yeah.
It's not bad to investigate. If Mandela is involved in those mafia scandals, and that's how he has accumulated money that has been doing business behind the back door with in such schemes, everyone is going to be investigated. And things are going to come out. Commissions of inquiries are going to come out. People are going to testify. Whosoever is found out to have taken money out of Uganda or properties of Uganda illegally is going to be nationalized back to where it belongs. And people are going to lose. So this people power movement that is coming into government, it's going to stimulate everything. And people are going to be aware. Such a nonsense is not going to be allowed. How did you get all this money? Tell us, how much did you use and how did you make profit? How did you make your taxes? If it's not in line, then you show us this. Who is the owner of this? You show us this. Out.
And you see, the biggest problem you have right now, however much Museveni may want to leave power because you may see his advanced age and he looks tired, really. But the mafias around him that have accumulated wealth through dubious ways cannot allow him to go. They cannot, because they know very well if Bobby Wine becoming president of Uganda, so many, I'm telling you, so many people are going to run off to exile, so many people are going to lose their properties, so many people are going to lose what they've owned in Uganda illegally or through the dubious ways. So definitely, as much as Museveni is at the front seat here, he has mafias around him that are telling him, man, you can come up, you know, we still need you. You're the best that you see what happens whenever there's whenever the NRM, you know, cadres meet in Chankwazi. No one is given any chance to contest against Museveni. All of them. You know, you're still able, because if anything, unless there's a natural calamity or something happens or an uprising or God allows and in 2021 Museveni kicked out of power, these guys are going to keep pushing in Museveni till 2050. Just because why? First of all, none of them has been groomed to be able to take over. And two, they've stolen so much, they've amassed too much wealth that they know change of guards. Most of them are going to end up in exile. Most of them are going to end up really poor because whatever they've stolen from Ugandans is going to be taken back to Ugandans. All
right, so I want to take you just a little bit out of that, and I believe you guys you are people power supporters, but most importantly, you are neutral sometimes. You tend to bring issues the way they are. But there is this guy who supports people power who died this last week in South Africa. I was trying to follow up this story, but all of a sudden I had some certain things that came in. But Sarah, you've been following up the Lubuurwa accident scan story. Some people say it was a planned accident. Others it's just a natural accident that happens and people lose lives. So all theories are coming up. And this is just kind of like a by the way, which is again part of our discussion. But what is the story behind it? Is it a planned accident or it was just a natural accident that happened, you know, every day people die?
I'm going to start off by saying Lubuurwa rest in eternal peace. He's been one of, I've seen him a lot on Choto and sometimes on his page. He's been one of the most vocal people power activists who give in their time, because even social media, people, you know, you take off time from your work, from whatever they are doing. There are so many, you know, we sit here every Saturday, but on the other side on social media, there is a team that, you know, every day. Some come on social media, some come live 4 or 5 times a day. And I wonder where they get the energy and time to do it. I can't be live on Facebook even in a day because I have a busy schedule. I have to make money. But even Saturday when I take off my time, Saturday I said it's my day off. I do not work so that I can make time every Saturday to sit here. But I'm telling you, I'm proud of the team. You have the Choto team, and you have so many people come on their pages. Some come in the morning. There are some who come 3 times a day. In the morning, you see him on live. Afternoon, evening. I keep wondering, I'm like, the dedication and the will to do this. And they are not paid. No one is financing them. No one is buying them data. The dedication, the will. They want to say better Uganda. I really applaud them, and I'm really proud of everyone who takes their time out to come and educate Ugandans, to come and discuss issues and break down whatever it happens in Uganda, because that's what mainly they do. They break down whatever they see in Uganda, keep Ugandans more focused, keep them committed, tell them to go and get their Ndagamuntu, and show people that, you know what, where we are going, there is hope, and definitely change at one point in time will come in Uganda. So it is really absurd when we lose one of the vocal persons from People Power, who has been really, really so instrumental in pushing activism, in talking about change. And he was going to stand in Chotera for Member of Parliament. So Chotera again loses a young, vibrant man who would have maybe caused change in the Chotera area. So I've heard also so many theories. Was he murdered? Was it an accident? And you know, sometimes in situations like that, sometimes we tend to run away we politicize it, or we make it up. But I think it was a natural accident. Accidents happen every day. It was a natural accident. Sometimes you can literally, as I was coming here, someone was trying to come out of their driveway and getting into the road, and I don't know what was happening. I think I was looking down. By the time I put my eyes up, I almost, because they were coming from their driveway into the main road, and I hadn't seen them. I had to literally turn the car, and on the side there's a huge, it's more of a pavement. There are trees. I was going to end up there. Literally, and I just talked to the program manager that I was on my way. If in less than 5 minutes they told you that I was no more, you will be shocked. You'll be like, no. I've just talked to her. She said she was on her way, but I just survived an accident, and it was going to be fatal because he just came all of a sudden into the main road without showing, and it would have been his or her fault. But a life is lost if it happened. So people lose lives every day, and at the same time, we should say, if people brought in stories, it could have been murdered, it could have been... South Africa is not a very safe country. We've seen so many, we have so many insecurities. We've had so many nationalities that are, and even South African nationals being murdered on a daily basis. There's too much guns, there's too much violence, there's so much mafia deals. People do the mafia business in South Africa, so much is going on in South Africa. So we, as much as we want to believe all these theories left and right, let us just take it that it was Goloba, his time was due, and God wanted to take him to do for a greater goal. But Goloba, the thing we must appreciate that Goloba served, if we are going to name heroes, if we are going to appreciate Ugandans that have added a brick to seeing that change comes into Uganda, Goloba has done his role. And in fact, Goloba is going to settle in a better place. If it's heaven, he's going to end up in heaven. He has done a great job. He has added value to his country. He has been able to speak for Ugandans who are not able to speak. Ugandans back home are not able to speak. So Goloba is going to rest in a better place. He's going to be received by angels. And I must appreciate the People Power team that have been working tirelessly to say that Goloba gets a decent burial or a better send-off. They received him from people who from the team again from South Africa, who made sure that they collected him. I had someone from South Africa in a team that mentioned that they had conned off his home and closed his door, that his properties are not stolen, that they will sell them and send over money to his family in Uganda. So they were able, and our Bobby Wine that was able with the entire team, with the spokesperson of People Power, the coordinator, who were able to receive him in a decent, just like he was received like one of the uncelebrated heroes. Right. I believe if Goloba lived today, Goloba did not, you see people come on live on live every day and do their live videos, talk, just like we're sitting here. If Goloba could wake up today, he would know the impact he had in People Power. Because Goloba, if he woke up right now, he would not believe that he's being celebrated like this. He would not believe that his impact was huge than what he thought. So,
all right. So, Richard, which theory do you go to? There is a theory of it was a planned accident. There is a theory of, like Sarah believes that it was a natural accident. Which theory do you go with?
Does Museveni and his government have an external wing, external security organization and internal security organization. If they have an internal security organization, and you see that militias are being recruited every morning to neutralize people power into the country, don't you think that they have an external military wing to neutralize the opposition in the diaspora? I'm giving an example. RO number 100, Herbert Itongwa, he was found 2 weeks. The Museveni government wanted to bring him back into the country, and he refused. 2 weeks, he was found murdered in his house. Who killed him? So do you think that Museveni, that he took all the time to go and see Tinyefunza into London to make sure that he neutralizes him, because he was going to be a political and a military threat to him, that he would go into England to bring him back into the country? Do you think that he would wake up and see all these people powers mushrooming everywhere that are going to support Honorable Bobi Wine financially, politically, and everything around the world, and they just keep quiet? Don't you think that they have a machinery, especially South Africa? This is a wake-up call for all people that are in the struggle of people power, including me. That's why I always propose that the area, the most safe place to participate into these political struggles and conferences is Boston, which we have secure areas. In South Africa, look at what is Rwanda doing to its citizens. How many people have been eliminated there? Do you think Museveni sees such a things and sees this man shouting away, who has been following me every Sunday? He has been following me. I've been seeing him every Sunday. See, do you think that he can see these people and just say, oh, these ones are outside the country, I'm not going to touch them? I think at the end of the day, the truth will come out in the commissions of inquiries. Someone must have been in the hand to eliminate him.
All right.
No,
so
but at the same time,
Yeah.
even here, you're not safe. You have so many hands that work for President Museveni. So even you're not safe even wherever, if you're going to add your voice to the cause, or if you're going to attack the president and his family, you have to be careful. People at this point in time, you have cookouts, people go out, you have to watch out. Don't leave your water open and then take it back, or leave a drink there and someone offers you a drink and you take it. Because you don't blame him. 33 years, and you expect people are going to come after you, and they are going to fight and stop your tyranny. So some people are going to be eliminated. And definitely, if we must agree, the most noise has been made by the people in the diaspora, because the people back home are suppressed in so many ways. You've seen, I've seen the likes of Bajo have been, taking it onto themselves to every day come up and update people. He's been put behind bars, and it's going to take some time there, because they are not going to grant him bail as soon as we may think that we want him to be out. So the people in the diaspora are doing, and this is the first time that we have the diaspora active in the politics of Uganda. And, everything happens for a reason. The timing is right. You have, because every time you turn into social media right now, even you see we are streaming live on social media, but 2, 3, 4, 5 groups are already on social media talking about stuff happening in Uganda. They're talking about change. They're talking about Bobi Wine. They're talking about so many things that happen in Uganda. Some of the things that I've not even, if I'm not updated about certain things, sometimes I go to people's lives to see what are they talking about, what are the updates about. So the diaspora is really, really engaged. And this is bothering the president, because they do not have so many. I've seen people who have come up on social media to try to talk for the sitting government, but it is hard. However much you've been paid money, what are you going to say? Everything is so wrong that it's hard even to find the right things to say and validate the 33 years of President Museveni. All
right, guys, we cannot go far from there. I want to thank you so much. Richard, your final text. Sarah will give us few words, and then we will close the show. Your final take?
So let me tell the people that are listening to us tonight and that are going to be watching us, this is a struggle that we're not going to give up. We have fought this struggle ever since I was 14. This is not going to stop me. If someone is going to harm people around the world, make the greatest mistake and come in America, you'll regret it all the days of your life. So we are not going to give up because you are eliminating people. It's our right to fight for democracy and equal rights in our country, to see that we have a true change through people power government and development, so that we all people could stop going overseas, even our grandchildren and children, for BAO. We are going to participate. We encourage you to participate in the struggle. We shall overcome, and we shall have a new Uganda. Thank you.
Sarah, you want to take?
Before we forget, we must remember that we have Bobi Wine coming for a debate.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yep, he's going to be in Washington, D.C. for, I think it's a human rights debate.
Yeah, he's going to be, let me read from what my producers just sent me. He's going to be in Chicago, I think, on the 30th, which is going to be Sunday, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be in Chicago to discuss, I don't know, to discuss a few things.
Yeah.
My producer didn't send me the right information.
Meet and greet.
Yeah,
he's been selected to be on a panel where you're going to have one of the contesting presidential candidates for United States. That is the former president of the United States. So it is, he's building a very good rapport and being able. And one of the things I like about Bobi Wine, every time he gets a chance to share an international platform, he really brings to the world the attention that the issues in Uganda really need to be looked into and show where we are, because the world, people are so busy right now. In America, people are starting presidential campaigns and debates and all that. So we need always someone to remind them and say, oh, as much as you pay attention to this, please also we have issues back home. And the fact that we are hugely financed by you, because our military budget, it is basically financed by the by United States of America. That they finance the biggest budget of our military. So we need to bring to their attention that as much as you do this, we appreciate. But you look into the area where you give money, there's human rights abuse, there's misappropriation of resources. And so many things are happening on way back home. So we really appreciate, and whoever selected him for this, thank you for the opportunity. But again, for the People Power team, we should not lose Aluta Continua. We lost one soldier, but we expect 100 soldiers to come up in the place of Goloba. Wherever you are, don't be afraid. I've met so many people who keep and ask me, oh, but Sarah, how do you do it? How do you talk about, how comes you know about politics? How do you talk about politics? It's about research. Sometimes I follow up things that are happening in Uganda, even in my free time, or I watch television in Uganda from, I go to YouTube, I watch the happenings in Uganda, so that even when I sit here, I'm well equipped with to share because someone may wonder, we don't live in Uganda, but we know so much of what happens in Uganda. We do our research. So we expect so many soldiers to come up. Don't be afraid wherever you are. Raise your voice, add your voice, and you will be in a better place anytime because you added, because any voice you had helps another person. We are here to change lives. We are here to bring people to the cause. We are here to let Ugandans know that this can be done, that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. The light is there and change can come to Uganda.
All right, thank you. And to the viewers, if I come back to you, we want to thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you for the comments. I was supposed to read when we sent you a question about East Africa. I do believe I've tried to look through the comments, but my producers didn't send me some of the questions, so I apologize. But next Saturday, we will make sure that all those questions come up and all comments and read them here. But for now, we thank you so much. Remember, politics is always politics. You have to work hard to improve your situation back in Uganda and from wherever you are. Money always drives the economy. So without money, sometimes certain decisions won't be made. For now, David Lubuurwa, Richard Myambia, Sajay Bakanasa, we wish you a great week. Have a good time. See you next Saturday, same time. See you then.
Thank you.